Get active for 6-8 seconds. Guys, this is what we had to get. This ain't the one we want. You want that ball?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Laurel Leader Call Sports Show. I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds, joined alongside, as always, Kevan Lindsey and my good friend and yours, Josh Guru Nichols. Guys, again, it's coming up on the end of the season. This will be our last show until January 8th. We're going to go on a Christmas break ourselves, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get closer to the end. But, guys, we named our high school football players of the year this week. And we'll start, we'll go through each of them, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the counties, first before we start having a discussion. Jones County, we gave it to Holmes and Watson there at West Jones. In Jasper County, we gave it to Chase Craft at Heidelberg. And in Smith County, we went to J.J. McCollum of Raleigh. We'll start with the conversation on J.J. McCollum at Raleigh. Goo, I know you and Kevin, talked with coaches. Y'all helped pick these. Tell me what went into the selection here for the Smith County Player of the Year.
Well, Jack, Smith County and Jasper County were both this year just two that were far and away. These two young men were the cream of the crop. J.J. McCollum, was the catalyst that led Raleigh to its second state championship in 4 years. He's a two-way player, quarterback, linebacker, safety type player. And I mean, he's one of those cats that's all over the field whenever he's on the field. I mean, he runs the ball at quarterback, throws the ball. I mean, they didn't throw a lot, but usually when he does, he's pretty successful at it. And also defensively, he was one of the keys in helping the Lions win that state championship.
Kevin, what do you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to echo Guru's comments. I mean, he's a kid. He was everywhere. I got to see him in the state championship game, and, he didn't fill up the stat sheet. It wasn't like a 200-yard game or anything like that, but his presence affected that game so much, and that's when a player is dominant. We see that with in the pros or in college ball, where I look at Micah Parsons, just how much he helped the Green Bay Packers defense this year until he went down with a torn ACL. But I mean, his presence on the field just affects things, and that's the type of player JJ is, and obviously he's deserving. He was Mr. Football, right?
I think
was
he
he. Was he Mr.
No, he wasn't. It was
it was his teammate.
Teammate.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Lyman, 52. Can't remember the name off the top of my head.
What class is JJ?
He's a senior.
He's a senior. So,
Yeah.
I mean, going out on a high note, with another state championship, really, really cool to see. Now we've got Chase Craft, Jasper County's Player of the Year from Heidelberg. I got a chance to see him play in the South State Championship game. Very, very impressive thrower. He can run, he can throw. Kraft looked really good. Unfortunately, Heidelberg came up short in that state championship game, but that doesn't take away from the year that this kid had. Kevin, I'll start with you this time because I know that you and Coach Carter have a pretty strong relationship, and that you've followed this team probably a little bit, even more than me or Guru have, even though we followed them all. But tell us what you think of Kraft being our Player of the Year.
Yeah, this is deserving. Mr. 2A football. I mean, he's just a kid that is a lot like JJ, except he's going to put up that yardage. You're going to see it on the stat sheet. But one of the things that stood out to me when talking to Coach Carter this week, of course, it was out in yesterday's paper, the Wednesday edition, is Coach Carter told me that he sacrificed being a quarterback. He's more than likely, whenever he's a junior this year, he's more than likely, when he takes that step to go to a college program, that he's going to be a wide receiver or defensive back. And he started his third game in his freshman year at quarterback whenever Coach Carter said that, hey, I'm going to put you at quarterback. He said, I'll do whatever I've got to do as long as this team can win. And that's the type of kid he is. I remember him playing in the 8th grade on special teams. And one of the first times I ever saw him, he returned a kick, returned back for a touchdown. And you knew as an 8th grader that this kid was going to be special. And just to see his transformation and to see him grow up and the type of player he is on and off the field. I know they're 2 years ago now, whenever they lost against Charleston in their first state championship appearance, Coach Carter told me that he got there to school on Monday morning, and Chase was there. Freshman year going into sophomore year, Chase had texted his teammates and wide receivers and was like, hey, if you're coming back next year, come meet me at the football field. And he was out there doing drills at like 6 a.m. And he done that. He organized that. And I think that just shows you what a leader that kid is. And for him to just be a junior, I mean, he's still got a year left. And, I think they'll be back and that he'll be in the Player of the Year conversation again next year. I mean, to be honest with you.
He'll probably win it again.
Yeah. Goo, anything you want to add to that?
No, I just think, the sky's the limit for Kraft. I mean, I was just looking at 247 recruiting, and right now it seems like Mississippi State is one of the leaders in trying to bring him to Starkville after his senior year next year. But like Kevin said, more than likely not going to play quarterback at the next level. And the dude's just an athlete. I mean, I'm sure if he plays, he's just as good in basketball as he is in football. And, when you have athletes like that, we saw it at West Jones with Marlon Lindsey for when they won state in 2020. He was a wide receiver, but coming back, and that was his sophomore year, but coming back for his junior and senior year, the Mustangs really didn't have anybody that was as good of an athlete that could throw the ball like Marlon, and he was the quarterback. And I mean, he went on. He's at Central Missouri State, the Fighting Mules, playing wide receiver up there, and I mean that's his natural position. So yeah, just whenever Kraft leaves Heidelberg and moves on to the next level, I would definitely see him. Probably, especially if with the way things are trending, I think he's going to end up being a wide receiver more so than a defensive back. Because
I can see either way.
Just because of his ball skills is the one reason I would think if he goes to somewhere where it's a toss up, if they need a wide receiver more, or if they need a defensive back more, just because of his hands, that I would lean to a wide receiver.
I think of like Devin Hester. That's who I think of. He could just. Devin played wide receiver. He would line up at cornerback sometimes.
And, of course, he's got a whole nother year. So who knows where the conversation will be at the end of his senior year. I mean, he may develop into that can't-miss quarterback prospect. He could be developed into another position, and we just don't know yet. It's fun to talk about because of how much this kid loves football and the fact that his love of it means he'll go anywhere. Yeah. And I think that's why it's exciting to look at his future here. Now let's get into our Jones County Players of the Year, as we've got Caleb Holmes and Chandler Watson. And Guru, again, the Holmes-Watson combination was one that we didn't catch right away, the name there until I think this week for some of us. But it's a cool throwback to some old mystery novels. But on top of that, and the reason I'm going to you first is you're not a fan of doing co-players of the year, but it was impossible to choose just one of these two players because of what they meant for the West Jones Mustangs this year.
Correct. And we were sitting there, and we're just for everybody to know, I mean, it wasn't just the three of us that chose these players. We reached out to another friend of ours in the media, or news, quote unquote, business. Somebody that knows a lot about all these players and talked to some coaches as well. But in the end, I told both Jack and Kevin that I was not a fan of co-players of the year. But when we started throwing out names for Jones County and we started breaking it down, talking about statistics and just going through everything, and it was nearly impossible. And we are definitely not, especially me, and these two guys will agree with me. If one of these cats on this list would have been a freshman and they did what they did this year, they would still be player of the year.
Yeah.
This is not a senior laden award, as you can already see. Chase Kraft is a junior. Chandler Watson, he's coming back for another year.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up, like Jack said, I mean, you would have to split hairs because, I mean, Watson averaged over 24 yards a reception. Caleb Holmes averaged over 8 yards every time he ran the football. The combination of these two guys accounted for 70% of the West Jones offense. And and it was pretty much 35-35. It was probably 32-38, but I mean, it was a dynamic duo. And we called it, originally instead of the two-headed monster, it was the two-headed Mustang. And it's, Watson, like Kraft, is going to be a kid that comes back, and dude, if he has a season better than this season, we'll probably be sitting here a year from now talking about him, and maybe only him as the player of the year for Jones County.
Kevin, what do you want to add on this one?
Yeah, and I want to add too. Whenever we looked at Caleb Holmes and Chandler, I'm in agreement with Guru. I don't like doing co-players of the year. Like you said, I mean, it's so hard to pick up because I think it may have been, I can't remember who it was. If it was me or you, said, well, I think Caleb had a good season. We looked up his stats, and then I was like, oh, Watson had a stretch. And then we look up Watson's stats, and we're like, oh my gosh. Because, I mean, and I'll mention some other players who were in it. Percy Taylor was in it for Northeast Jones. Anquan Jackson was in it for South Jones. We had a couple of guys from Laurel that was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tamaj Harris. Bivens, I think, we mentioned him. There was guys across there that we were looking at. I know we were leaning Percy for a while. Just his, like you look at J.J. McCullum, just his presence on the field made a huge difference for Northeast Jones. There was several players that we looked at, and like you said, it accounted for 70% of their offense. And Tootie was right there too. You can't.
It was.
I mean, it was. We talked about it was a three-headed monster for a while during the season. So he was in that conversation.
And he's another junior coming back next year.
Of course, if who's feeding Watson the ball, it's going to be Tootie that's feeding him the ball. So, I mean, I watched Caleb early on in the season, who really impressed me. And I think one of the things that I told y'all that stood out to me was his patience to wait and be the guy after Elijah had came through and was the guy before. And, I mean, he's a great running back. Mm-hmm. The fact that I don't think he's got an offer yet to go anywhere.
Correct.
Man, some JUCO school, Jones College, he's in your backyard, guys.
Shoot, USM, step up and get him.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, any community college, USM, whoever, I just think right off the bat, Jones College, man, he's right in your backyard. You can have all the film in the world. You got coaches that can tell you what's good about him. Man, give this kid a look.
And fans that would show up because they enjoyed watching him play in high school. They would show up there to watch him there at Jones College.
For sure.
Now, our next conversation is going to be on the Heisman Trophy because we all have opinions, about the Heisman Trophy. I think we know because I think Guru wrote a column on who he thought should win it, and Fernando Mendoza ended up winning it, who Guru was suggesting weeks ago in that column. Don't know if his opinion changed or not, or how that goes. I'll start off with, I really wanted to see Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame win it. I think he put up numbers, but I think his injury right in that last game where he wasn't able to finish that last game, I think that hurt his chances. I'm okay with Mendoza winning it because, I mean, you look at his numbers. He threw for 2,980 yards, 33 touchdowns against 6 interceptions, and he's on the number one team in the country. Would I have loved for it to be Jeremiah Love, especially as a Notre Dame fan? Yes. Do I think Jeremiah Love's the best overall player in the country? Yes. But in this instance, I think because his numbers got cut a little short, I think it's easy to accept. And the fact that Mendoza is the quarterback on the number one team in the country, I'm okay with it. We'll go to you next, Kevin. What did you make? Do you think the Heisman Trophy voters got it right?
Yeah, I do. I think they got it right. I'll be honest. I really wasn't involved too much with the Heisman Trophy this year. Nobody, to me, stood out too much. I know Diego was there, and I think he finished second, right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he threw for 3,192 yards, 27 touchdowns against 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
So a little more yards, but more interceptions and less touchdowns.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that he deserved, definitely. I told y'all the other day, Kwan Lacey, I was surprised that he wasn't at least on the list anywhere. I think leading the SEC in touchdowns is a big deal.
Yeah, he had he rushed for 1,279 yards against 20 touchdowns. So an outstanding season for Lacey as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there just, to me, wasn't anyone where you had, or it wasn't a race of like it was last year with Genty and Hunter. It just didn't seem like that, and I don't really have any problem with who won it, with Mendoza winning it.
I don't necessarily say that I have a problem, especially since I picked it almost a month before it actually happened. I would say that, just because Mendoza's on the number one team doesn't mean anything to me. I think what Pavia did at Vanderbilt, he played a hell of a much tougher schedule than Mendoza did, and he put up solid numbers. But I tell you, if he would have started from day one, Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss would probably have been the first Heisman Trophy winner for Ole Miss.
I agree.
The first Heisman Trophy winner in the state of Mississippi. And, unfortunately, he didn't play in the first 2 games, didn't start until game 3 against Arkansas. But, I mean, he's got a chance just like Mendoza to play for a national championship, which is something we'll get into here a little bit further on. And I agree with Kevin with the comment, that it hasn't been like it was the last couple of years, whether it was, quote unquote, a race between a couple of guys, or if you look back to Jaden Daniels at LSU, who just, as the season progressed, even though the LSU finished 9-3 2 years ago, just the way he progressed throughout the year, he set himself apart. And we didn't have anybody like that. The only other guy I'd like to mention would be J-Rod, which is Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker from Texas Tech. I mean, dude's an all-out stud. He has the Red Raiders ranked number 4 in the CFP, first-round bye. You'll hear a lot of talk about that defensive line, but Rodriguez, over the last 2 years has totaled over 240 some odd tackles, had 117 this year, 7 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions from a linebacker position. Dude's a dog all over the field. And, I was reading, I don't remember what I was reading it on the other day, but somebody made a great point that it's almost come to the point where the Heisman Trophy just ought to be a quarterback trophy, because it's just, I mean, I told you guys Tuesday when we were working on getting yesterday's paper out, it seems there's years where the committee gets it right, and it's like the Jaden Daniels year. They were not in the hunt for the SEC championship. They were not in the hunt for the playoff bid. But he was the best player in college football. But then a year like this year, when other than Pavia, your top candidates going into that final weekend were the quarterbacks of the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams, Mendoza and then Sayin at Ohio State, in which a lot of people didn't even think Sayin deserved it, because I think he finished 4th.
You did,
yeah,
and it wasn't close. But all in all, I mean, I guess with what they had to pick from, I guess they got it right. I still think if you look at the whole body of work and take away the fact that Mendoza's on the number one team, if you don't put that in the equation, I think you might have got more people that would have leaned towards Pavia. But I think it's changed because he's like Johnny Manziel 2.0.
That probably hurt him too.
And I was going to say that what was that, 2012?
Mm-hmm.
When Manziel Mania hit and he won the Heisman, country was a heck of a lot different than it is these days. And Jack hit the nail on the head that Pavia was a little bit after his time. He showed too much Johnny football instead of curtailing it in.
I remember the debates about should Manziel win it. One being it because he was a freshman, and then two, just his attitude and everything like that.
It's cockiness.
And, again, there's so many debates you can have, about why, if Love had been given more carries in the Miami game, Notre Dame might have won that game and he'd have more yards. If, again, if Chambliss, as you pointed out, if he had started sooner, he'd be in the conversation. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could say. At the end of the day, we'll just give Mendoza congratulations. It is one of those years where it probably was going to come down who was the quarterback of the number one team in the country, just because that's what they used as the measuring stick. Whether it's right or wrong, that's up for debate, but it is kind of cool that Indiana, for the first time in their school's history, has a Heisman Trophy winner. And we talk about Vanderbilt being a good story, the fact that they came on and turned that program into something it's never been. Indiana pretty much has done the same thing in a 2-year span. They've been in the college playoffs both years. They were a basketball school with a football afterthought. And I think that helped elevate Mendoza too. I think if Pavia had gotten Vanderbilt to the playoffs, maybe then you would have seen more people talk about it. But I think because of Mendoza being a part of a program similar to Vandy, that also helped elevate him. It had to have. Now let's get into our wild card before we get into our picks. And unbeknownst to the guys, they already had a debate about this downstairs a moment ago, because it is the Christmas season and there is a raging debate on one particular thing. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And yes, there is a right answer, and I will tell it to you after you guys give your opinion. Kevin, go.
No, it's not a Christmas movie. Just because the movie takes place around Christmas time does not mean it's a Christmas movie. Like I told y'all downstairs, First Blood, if you're saying Die Hard's a Christmas movie, First Blood should be a Christmas movie, because First Blood took place around Christmas. There's a Christmas tree scene in the background. It's obviously cold and wintry. No, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. This is stupid. This is the dumbest debate that you can debate. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's stupid.
Die Hard is most absolutely a Christmas movie. The whole premise takes place during a company Christmas party, and it's right there before Santa's coming to town. It's a Christmas movie, Kevin.
No, it's not. Is First Blood a Christmas movie?
No.
Why? It's around Christmas. They're drinking hot chocolate and all.
Not
this
on the
stuff,
list. It didn't make the list.
And Rambo is like back, and it's Christmas time, and he's getting picked on because he's coming back from Vietnam, and the Vietnam War tensions happening, and all this stuff. Like,
yippee-ki-yay.
The correct answer is yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And no, the reason First Blood is not is because it's not a major theme. And it is a major theme in Die Hard. They even play Christmas music throughout the movie. It is a Christmas movie. Kevin, you were wrong.
Christmas episode, because I'll just start singing Jingle Bells.
Well, sing Jingle Bells. I've got the mute button right there.
I'll sing Taylor Swift.
Oh, goodness. It was funny when the guys started debating it downstairs because they didn't know that was the question. And I was like, well, that's going to be fun because one of them gets to be right and one of them gets to be wrong, in my opinion. And since the wild card's my question, I'm the judge and juror here.
Elf is the best Christmas movie, though.
We'll debate that another time because Elf is good, but there's some that would say Christmas Vacation higher. You
Christmas
know,
Vacation's old and outdated.
and Elf isn't.
No,
Elf is old now.
no, it's not. Elf is not old.
So
You're-
Christmas Stories old and outdated.
Yes. I love Christmas
I'll
Story,
shoot
but
your
it's
eye
old.
out.
Yeah, look, Kevin. Once again, you're wrong. Don't you have a line for him when he's wrong like this?
Kevin, you're an ignorant slut.
That's fine. The Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
You're
Yippee-ki-yay.
entitled to be wrong. Anyway, let's get into our picks. That's the fun part of the show. I really thought Kevin would be the one to say yes, and Guru would be the one to argue against it. I was surprised of the way we went in that, but
Whatever he said, I was going to say
Well,
opposite anyway.
some people have.
but you
this,
said,
Jack.
look, he says that, but Guru said first before Kevin even gave an opinion, Die Hard was the best Christmas movie of all time. So let's get into our picks. Let's start off right down the road from here in New Orleans, the New Orleans Bowl, which will feature Western Kentucky playing our Southern Miss Golden Eagles right down the road in Hattiesburg. This is an interesting game because there's no Charles Huff anymore for Southern Miss. They've got a new era, a new man in charge, and Blake Anderson. It's the guy who's been running the offense. Doesn't look like they got hit with a ton of opt-outs the way that Marshall did last year when Huff left. So it's an interesting game, and it's right in Southern Miss's backyard. I think that even though they finished the season on a down note, I think the Golden Eagles right the ship and finish on a high. I think Southern Miss wins a close one in this game.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to pick Southern Miss with the way their season ended. I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here. I'm going to pick Western Kentucky. I think with Huff leaving and the way that the season ended for USM, I know it's right down the road. I understand that. This is like USM's bowl game. It seems like, the New Orleans Bowl, and hopefully some of the fans that travel, I'm already hearing excuses, though, that it's too close to Christmas, so we'll see. We'll see if the rowdy bunch decides to travel. But, I don't know. I'll turn it on and see if I am right or if I'm disappointed, and USM just does me the way they always do. They could have been in the playoffs, but no.
They were never getting in the playoffs.
Kevin, it's the same for both of us. Whichever way we go, we're going to be wrong. And unfortunately, I have to lean with Kevin. Southern Miss, I picked them time and time and time again down the stretch, and time again, they let me down. And to Jack's point, I haven't seen a lot of names jump into the portal yet. You have seen some across the country, but the portal itself isn't for another, what's the date? Roughly 3 weeks, I think. It's after the quarterfinal games have been played, in which I think we will see quite a few Southern Miss guys leave and follow Coach Huff to Memphis. And I wouldn't be surprised if he told them, hey, stay where you are, finish it out, play in this last game, and then once the portal opens, come on, and we'll see who's going to come up to Memphis with me. But that being said, I'm going to have to go with the Hilltoppers because old Southern, you just let me down too many times this year.
I was tempted to go that way for that same reason. I just want to believe in Anderson being able to take the reins and get a win in his first. Probably going to get burned. You guys probably will be the right ones, but yeah. Before we go to the next pick, am I the only one who misses the old days where the bowls didn't start until after Christmas? I mean, to me, I can't stand the fact that we have bowl games before Christmas, because if you remember, the first bowl game back in the day was the blue and gray game that was played on Christmas Day, which made up of all-star players who were on teams that didn't make bowls. Well, now there are 9,000 bowls, so I guess everyone makes a bowl, which we'll see in our next one.
I don't have a problem per se with bowls starting, like with Southern Miss and Western Kentucky on the 23rd. That I don't have a problem with. But when we had 2 bowl games this past Saturday,
Yeah.
that's way too early. I mean, we had just finished championship weekend the Saturday before, and then other teams are turning around and playing bowl games.
Who was the 2 in the bowl?
We had the Celebration Bowl, and then we had
Yeah, that's different.
LA
That's
Bowl.
That's the national championship.
but we also had Washington and Boise State.
Yeah.
You were
That was a
Doing-
bowl game?
It was?
you were doing something else while that game was
Look,
on.
nobody went to it, so therefore it was
No, I thought that was like the last regular season game for them. That was a bowl game?
It's the LA
the
Bowl.
only team that was playing their last regular season game was Army Navy.
That was, I feel stupid now. I thought that was
Yeah.
I thought that was just like a rivalry game. I was like, where did that come from? Was it the Big 12 or Mountain West or Goat East? Okay. Sure, man. But so I exclude the Celebration Bowl. That's the
HBCU
I'm okay
national
with that. I'm
championship.
okay
that's the
with that.
national championship.
okay
We
with
call
that.
that a
With
bowl,
that.
but that's the national championship. That's HBCU. Let them be them.
Anyway, but what is your take? Do you think
I don't
miss
care,
the
bro.
days? Play them whenever.
I don't care, man. It's like, I know y'all are like 60 years old.
Look, he's already lost the diehard debate, so now he's feeling
Well, I'm
defeated.
just saying, y'all are in a different generation than me. I whenever I started watching football as a preteen or whatever, like it's just natural for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, like I barely remember the Blue Gray Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I barely remember that. You know, and
Well, and for years too, when that kind of started
was there
going
like an
down.
East West or something?
Well, that too, but I'm pretty sure it was the Hawaii Bowl that normally every year was also played on Christmas Day.
I think it was, or it was the day after. It was
There
right around
there
the
was
same
for a
time.
long time. I
Yeah.
know growing up and into my early mid, even late 20s, we always had a bowl game on Christmas in which, with professional sports, NBA, playing a triple header, and I think there's 1 or 2 NFL games on. They just
I can't
give
stand
into
the
them.
NFL
I can't stand the NBA
moving
on Christmas.
into that stuff. NBA on Christmas, it's been so long, it doesn't bother me as much. I don't watch it, but it doesn't bother me. But but the NFL is a new thing on Christmas, and I just let that be a college or give it to the NBA. I'm fine with the NBA having Christmas because they've had it for years. So I get where you're coming from.
The NBA Cup is even dumber.
But it is dumb. It is dumb. That should have been something to tell. When we get back, we'll have to talk about how stupid the NBA Cup is. Anyway, it's so stupid the Knicks aren't going to fly a banner after winning it because they understand it's a meaningless tournament.
Don't bring nothing new in here. We don't like new stuff.
We don't like stupid stuff. That's accurate. Anyway, let's go to the January 2nd, where we have the Duke's Mayo Bowl with Wake Forest versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State, despite having a losing season, getting to go to a bowl mainly because other teams didn't want to go to a bowl. So State's in this bowl game. Look, the same reason y'all won't pick Southern Miss is the reason I won't pick Mississippi State in this game. Wake Forest. Give me Wake Forest.
I'm taking State. You know why? It appears that Blake Shapen is transferring. It appears that he is no longer rostered or is not practicing or going to travel with the team. Kamario Taylor is the guy. I'm picking Mississippi State, Hail State, ring the cowbells.
Clanger. Shoot, son, that's all I needed to know. Give me them dogs. Give me them dogs and Jeff Levy getting that mayo dumped on his head.
God, that is amazing. I couldn't imagine getting mayo dumped on my head. That is like heaven.
Like 5-gallon bucket.
Bro, that is heaven.
Have somebody handing you like fries and you just dip it off.
If it was Sawyer or if it was Blue Plate mayonnaise,
But between this and the Pop-Tart Bowl, I mean, we've got some ridiculous bowls.
The mayo celebration's a heck of a lot better than the Pop-Tart.
It is.
I actually watched that Pop-Tart
dreams
last
come
year.
true.
That thing was stupid.
I love
That was worse than the NBA Cup.
Easy now. I don't know about that.
Watch it this year and you'll change your mind.
I watched it last year, and it was stupid, but NBA Cup's pretty dumb. Now let's get into the college football playoff picks. Now that we have gone through our local bowls, we're going to go through the first round and the second round since we won't be back before the second round. So Remember who you pick in the first round, so that way you know who you're picking in the second. In the first game we're picking, which is coming up Friday, Alabama at Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat Alabama earlier this year. They beat them last year. The odds are in Alabama's favor because of the fact they've lost to them so many times. But I'm not picking Alabama because they shouldn't be in the playoffs. Give me Oklahoma.
Boomer Sooner. Give me Oklahoma.
Do you think I got an Oklahoma hat on because I'm going to pick Bama? Hell no, son. Boomer Sooner.
Next, we've got, this game's pretty
Roll, tears, roll.
We've got Miami at Texas A&M. This game's a little interesting. Miami's one of those question mark teams. Texas A&M, as good as they were, or as we thought they might have been throughout the season, that loss at Texas is still ringing a lot of our minds. But it's a tough place to play, and I don't know that Miami is going to be ready for it. I don't think that they have faced anybody in the ACC schedule that can replicate the environment they're going into there. I'm not overly confident, but give me the Aggies to protect the home turf.
Same. Give me the Aggies in this one. Miami's not ready.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is going to be too much for Miami. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. I picked all the home teams in the first round, but I do think you look at the list, you go in order. The most probable visiting teams to win will be Bama, Miami, Tulane, James Madison. James Madison ain't beating Oregon.
Yeah.
But you never know what you're getting with Miami. I think Texas A&M has faced some tougher games this year. All in all, I think it's the 12th man, that home field advantage, and I think that's what ends up getting the Aggies past the Canes in this one.
We've already gotten all the goose picks, but, this next game we still have to talk about, and I'll spoil it too. I picked all the home teams too.
Same.
The home teams won every first-round game last year. I think that trend continues this year. I think at some point it won't, but I think this year.
And I think we'll all agree we don't want it. We hate it because we agree that Alabama shouldn't be there. Yeah. But out of the 4 games, if a road team's going to win, it will be Alabama.
Absolutely. We all do agree that.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about this Tulane game.
Tulane at Ole Miss. This is a rematch. Ole Miss already beat Tulane 45-10 earlier this year. But again, they still have to play a second time. I think Ole Miss wins pretty convincingly again. Maybe the score is a little bit closer, but when I say a little bit closer, maybe, 3 points closer, 7 points closer. It's not going to be a close game. I just don't think the Green Wave match up well at all with the Rebels. So I think that this game, and it's one of those matchups that's frustrating because we could have got a better matchup. This could have been Notre Dame going to Oxford. This could have been Miami going to Oxford. This could have been a much better matchup. Instead, we get a rematch that nobody really wanted. Kudos to Ole Miss fans. I'm happy for you because y'all essentially are going to get to coast into the second round. Not your fault, not attacking Ole Miss fans. But they're going to roll. They're going to roll in this game. Give me the Rebels to just break all the Green Wave's hearts.
Tulane is going to make this a closer game. I think this is not a trap game for Ole Miss. I don't want to say that, but I think this is going to be closer. Just because your coaching staff has been just decimated. I mean, they can spin it however they want to. Kiffin leaving, Kiffin being out, Golding taking over. I know you got Weiss there, and he's back, and they've allowed him to whatever. It's still going to be an issue, and I think that it's going to be about a 14-point game. I'm going to say I think 14 to 17
Good
points.
Yeah, and 2, even though John Summerall is leaving Tulane to be the next head coach at Florida, he's still coaching as long as the Green Wave are in the playoffs. And I think that's going to make a heck of a lot of difference for Tulane. And like you said, with the whole Lane Train ordeal and how that played out, a lot of people forget that's the mastermind offensive play caller, the guy that makes those, and that's one of the big things that I read earlier or saw earlier this week being talked about is what's Pete Golding going to do when it's 4th and 2 at his own 41-yard line. Is he going to go all in Kiffin, or because of he's so defensive minded, is he just going to say, no, we're going to punt, we're going to play defense? It's going to be very interesting to see, because if there is an outright true upset in the first round, it will be Tulane going into Ole Miss. And you want to talk about something pathetic? My daughter's a student. My stepdaughter's a student there. We got her game day ticket, I told y'all, for $25. Not bad. They are practically giving student tickets away because nobody's freaking buying them. They have a My Buddy plan going now. This is not a joke. She can buy a ticket for anybody of any age for $2 to go to help fill the student section.
Hey, let's talk afterwards. I know some people desperate for tickets. Let's talk. Maybe you can make some little money.
Charge them more than $2, but that,
I know. That's why I think we can make some money.
That's just downright ridiculous. I know school's out and whatever, but this is history. I mean, you never know when this is or isn't ever going to happen again.
If I was a student, I'd give everything to be there.
And see, I think that's the one thing, and I'm going to make this quick. That's where I think the student base at Ole Miss is different than the student base at Mississippi State. I think you have, because I know her two roommates this year, they're both from Texas. Mm-hmm. I get that they probably have gone home for the Christmas holidays. I don't blame them. And she had 3 roommates last year. All 3 of them were from out of state. 2 of them were also from Texas. So I see why there's not a lot of students there, but I mean,
there should be enough to make up the
gap.
You
You would think, but apparently, because I could almost guarantee that if Mississippi State was hosting a first round playoff game this weekend, they would not have a problem selling out their student section. And that's not a jab at either school. I just think that's the true case. But I picked Ole Miss, I already said that, but I agree with Kevin. It's going to be closer, and I think it's more of a 14 to 10 point game in there. I think it's close the whole way through. Ole Miss pulls away late, then Pete Golden's defense steps up, either gets a turnover on downs or an actual turnover to seal the deal.
Yeah. Real quick, we're all picking Oregon. We've already said that. This game to me is probably one of the ones I'm least looking forward to watching, because
and guess what Saturday night's primetime game is?
Yeah, very smart. Could have had the rematch of Ole Miss and Tulane.
It's okay. I'll be watching Division 2.
Why couldn't Alabama, Oklahoma, or Miami, Texas A&M be played on Saturday and moved one of these games? It makes no sense to me that the 2 games that feature the Group of 6 team are on the same day.
Well,
That just makes no sense.
TV. That's what I want to.
Probably because they know nobody's going to watch it. The truth will be told that JMU does not belong in the playoffs. Next week we go to New Year's Eve, the Cotton Bowl, Ohio State, where we have all of us picked Texas A&M, correct?
Yes.
Nobody picked Miami. Ohio State will be facing, according to us, Texas A&M. I think in this game, it's on the neutral site. It's in the Cotton Bowl, which is in Texas. I just don't know that I believe Texas A&M can win the big game, because they didn't prove it earlier this year. I want to see Ohio State go down, but I don't think it's going to be in that game. Give me the Buckeyes in this one.
Give me an A&M in this one.
Wow.
I like it.
Holy crap. No conviction in saying that whatsoever.
None. Look at that.
Ohio State hasn't played anybody.
That's fair.
You will say Texas, the first week of the season.
Texas
And
did beat Texas A&M.
I knew that's what you were going to say, is the first week of the season, man. First week of the season, and you're at home. You're in the shoe. You barely
Arch
get
Manning
by
played like
Texas.
crap.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ryan Day is a great coach, but Texas, Cotton Bowl, A&M, this is the year that Elko and A&M's got to prove it. Give me the Aggies.
I would be shocked if you're correct, and I will give you a shout out in the next show. Come over there, shake your hand, pat you on the head, tell you good job. I think Ohio State wins. I think it's a good game. I think the one thing that we hadn't touched on is the fact that it's played in Texas.
I said it.
And but Ohio State fans travel very, very,
No,
very
they do.
well.
Yep.
And it's going to be a 50-50 split between that scarlet and the maroon. I think Ohio State wins. I think it's going to be one of, I don't know. I think all the semifinal or quarterfinal games probably should be pretty good, but I'm going to go with Jack and go Buckeyes.
Next, we've got one that should be interesting in the Orange Bowl. Texas Tech, where we all have Oregon advancing. I think most experts have Oregon advancing. So Texas Tech versus Oregon in the Orange Bowl. Look, y'all know I've said I want Texas Tech to prove it because I just hadn't bought in. I know you guys have a much higher opinion of them. It's not that I don't want Texas Tech to be good, but I'm not sure that they're ready for what Oregon's going to bring. Give me the Ducks.
I told y'all at the beginning of the year I haven't wavered. I picked Oregon as my champion. With that said, man, this is a test. This is you get James Madison in round 1, but you got a test in round 2. I am just as high on that linebacker for Texas Tech as what Guru is. I think this is one of the best defenses in the country. I don't care what games they've lost. This team is their top 4 team. They're better than Ohio State, in my opinion. But all that said, I'm still picking Oregon in this one close.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game, and I'm gonna say 2 things here. Number 1, guns up. I think Tech is going to win it all. However, I will double down on that and say whoever wins this game will win it all.
Wow. So you're going with Tech, though, to win this
Tech
game.
to win this game, but whoever wins this game is going to be the national champion.
Next, we're going out to the Rose Bowl, where we'll have Indiana, and based on our pick before, facing Oklahoma. I think the Hoosiers are a team on a mission. Last year, they struggled when they ran into Notre Dame. This year, they're a team on a mission. I'm not sure that they're going to be good enough to win it. Oklahoma's just one of those iffy teams that I don't know how much I believe in Oklahoma. I want to, but give me the Hoosiers to advance in a nail biter.
This one's good, man. Oklahoma, I mean, Brent Venables, this is where he shines in playoff formats and championship games, but I think Indiana's a well-rounded team. I'm high on them, too. I'm taking the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference in this game is that Indiana's been here last year. They know what to expect coming into a game like this. Oklahoma barely squeaked into a bowl game at 6-6 last year. Hats off to Venables and the Sooners for what they did. I'm picking Indiana, but I want to ask you guys something. If it ends up being Indiana-Bama, does that change your pick?
No, I'm going with Indiana. I still think it's going to be a nail-biter game, whether it's Oklahoma or Alabama. But there's something about Cignetti and the way that he's got these boys believing that I want to believe too. Kevin?
Yes, I mean, it's the same here. I think if it was Bama, I think Indiana gets to Ty Simpson. I think the lack of running game, I think that's why I picked Oklahoma, is I just feel like the lack of a running game that we've seen from Alabama, there's been flashes, but once you get to Ty Simpson, everything just kind of falls apart. And Georgia exploited that.
Absolutely. Now we get to our final game to pick here. This, if it goes the way we all said it will, this will be another rematch, Georgia versus Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. Look, Ole Miss, people want them to be a feel-good story because Kiffin left. People want to believe in Ole Miss. I think they're good enough to get here. I think here's where it ends. I think Georgia handles them. I think a lot of the things you guys mentioned about the short turnaround with the new coaching staff, I think a lot of that stuff plays out really here, and Georgia handles business. I think Georgia advances in a game that isn't as close as it probably should be.
Yeah, Georgia wins this one. I don't. If Ole Miss gets by Tulane, I say if. But you want to say, well, Ole Miss fans will travel. Well, they won't even show up to their own freaking stadium. And I know Georgia will. I've seen Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and they're a Georgia fan. There were Georgia fans everywhere whenever they played Baylor a few years ago. Georgia, I mean, battle of defensive coordinator, former defensive coordinators. I'm gonna take Kirby every day.
Yeah, with Georgia, I mean, I think they've found their footing here in the back half of the season. They annihilated Alabama. And I know Ole Miss went into Athens earlier this year, dropped a 43-35 game over there. But once again, I'm going to go back to it. And people say, well, you're beating a dead horse. Well, he's not completely dead yet. All right. You don't have Kiffin on the sideline. You don't have him there to make the big decisions when they're in crucial offensive scenarios, where I just feel a guy that's so defensive minded, I just don't know what to expect from him. And I mean, we're going to pick the semifinals and finals when we come back and on the January 8th show. But I've already told you Oregon, Texas Tech winner is going to be in the finals. They're going to be playing Georgia. Spoiler alert.
What's the point in picking in a few weeks? Who's already telling us all this?
Because we might get half of this crap wrong.
That's fair. Goodness. Well, before we sign off, and I like this this last bit, Guru typed up our show thing, and I think it's important to ask each of you, and Kevin, we'll start with you. What are you thankful for, and what are your thoughts going into next year?
I'm just thankful that we had a great football season. Nobody got majorly injured. You know, I think that's one thing that people can kind of gloss over. You know, in the past couple of years, there's been tragedies happen before the season with players and stuff like that, and really haven't had that happen that I know of. And that's something to always be thankful for. Obviously, here with the podcast, it's fun. This has been a really fun thing that we've been able to do. I think it's gotten better every week. Man, there's a ton to be thankful for and to look forward to the new year.
Thankful to have worked since late February with you two guys. Also being able to, come back and like Kevin said, doing the podcast and just look forward to bringing it to you guys in the new year when we'll get into high school soccer, high school basketball, fall into baseball. And then before you know it, it seems, without getting ahead, every year we get to this point, football season's winding down, and then it'll be over when the Super Bowl's played in February, and then it'll feel like forever, but then all of a sudden it'll be right back. And just thankful to have spent quality time with you guys, our conversations throughout the last 10 months and, having fun when we have Christmas parties together and stuff like that. And just thoughts on the new year, just looking for new ways, maybe more in the digital and internet-based ways to bring you guys quicker and more up-to-date information. And I just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and hope you all have a Happy New Year.
And I'll echo that. I'm thankful for the friendships we've formed. I mean, you would think that the three of us have known each other for years, even though we've known each other for less than a year at this point. But we've already formed brotherships here, and that's one of the things that's incredible about our job. I'm thankful for having a job I actually enjoy, so that's another big thing. And thoughts on the new year, I'm excited to, as a former soccer player, I'm excited about us getting in and talking about the soccer seasons in the new year. I'm excited about talking about basketball. You guys know how much I love baseball, so we've got so much more to come with this show. And of course, we want to wish each and every single one of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from myself, Jack Fairchilds, from Kevan Lindsey, and Josh Guru Nichols. We'll see you in 2026.